So any of y'all see this film called Lamb? Okay, Lamb, a new movie that came out this week in Canada. I don't know where it came out in the rest of the world. I know there was like festivals and shit had it, right? It's one of those films. I really wanted to see this, mainly because the premise looked interesting enough to pique my interest. I'm like, oh, cool, that lamb is walking on its back legs. That's weird. Kind of dark, kind of twisted, kind of a weird Icelandic, just in the mountains and farming and shit. And what we got was this really beautiful film that told a really interesting story that didn't capture its magic perfectly. Now, I think this is a beautifully shot movie. It looks very gorgeous. The mountain, the landscapes, everything about it is beautiful. There are some perfect shots in here. Great cinematography, great acting. It's gorgeous to look at. You see the world it built and you're just like, that is beautiful. This is realistic. This is like a farmland and, like some Nordic area. It just looks very prestigious and cool, and I think that's gorgeous. And the acting itself, it's really good too. The characters are well created. It's very compelling, very fascinating to see how this story plays off itself. It's kind of cool in that regard. But sadly, the story, while it's creative and imaginative and kind of twisted, it lacks that initial oomph. And I'm not going to spoil the big reveals in this film or anything like that. But there's a man and a woman, I will say that. There's a man and a woman, they are married, they work on this farm. It's a sheep farm. If you like seeing sheep in places, that's about 20 minutes of this film, and it's like an hour and 44. Yeah, a lot of sheep, but it's kind of cool. So one day they are just helping these sheep give birth, and they find this weird creature inside one of the sheep. And they realize, hey, we could raise this as our own child. And that's what they do. And if you go in with that, you're like, that's weird. And yeah, it is weird. It's very twisted in that aspect. And that it just continues off that. We see this child, I'm going to call it a child. It grows up. It wears people clothes. It has fun. And it's weird. Like, you're never comfortable when it's in the room. There's some great moments where, like, oh, this is what it looks like. Oh, here it is talking to this new person. And the entire time, you're looking at this thing going, this is too not okay. It's just like, this is awkward. This isn't normal. I don't like this. But then there's moments you kind of settle into it, and you're like, oh, this is a nice family dynamic. They're being good parents. And there's some other times you're like, oh, this is a monster. What are we doing? And it's okay in that aspect, but there's just certain parts of that story that not only are they like cliched with anything, especially like there's a certain element of things that I don't really want to get into without getting too spoilery, but it's like that is a trope we've seen played up a lot with like the motherly aspect of things. I don't think it's that impressive to put in this movie, but I understand the necessity to do that because that is how you tell this story through that lens. I do want to say this too because it's going to sound completely insane. I don't know who the actors are. They got to play the dog and the cat, but it's some of the best dog and cat acting I've seen in a long time. Like, the dog is so expressive and personable, and it feels like a character where it's like, oh yes, I'm not just being told a direction. I am sensing the fear and the stage of everything in the room. I'm reacting to it. The cat is like the perfect asshole where he's just like aggressive and weird and just watching everything in this really stoic manner. I don't understand why the best actors in this were the pets, but that's where we're at. There's some good sheep acting in here too. That's weird to say. There's a sentence I never thought I'd say in a review, but the sheep were really good. One sheep in particular was very intense and cool. I thought that was awesome. They're the best parts. I like the people, and you buy their relationship, the struggles they go through, how they're raising this kid. You believe it. And then there's times where you're just like, okay, I don't know if I'm letting myself care about this story enough to get emotionally invested, because the entire time you are waiting for that pin to drop, you're waiting for that tension to break. And when it does, there's a scene towards the end of the film where it just kind of like breaks, and you're just like, oh, that's what this is about? Oh, okay. That's an unexpected turn, but I don't know why it's unexpected. I should have expected that. It's kind of cool. I got to admit it. Like that twist at the end. I wouldn't even call it a twist. Just that thing at the end. You're just like, oh, okay. And you just accept it, and it kind of like plays with you a little bit for a minute. it's kind of fucked. It's a fucked movie. It's like twisted in a way that isn't necessarily twisted, more than it's just like this isn't a natural story that happens, so it's doing weird stuff that not a lot of people would experience or play with, which is kind of weird in that regard, but something that's completely believable and authentic and just creepy. It's just really creepy. I think it's Naomi Rapace in the lead role. She does great. She is just a beautiful woman, just playing in this world, having fun. I like it a lot. And it's one of those films where the dialogue is so inconsequential that you could definitely watch this without having any dialogue on, and you'd understand everything perfectly well. There are very few moments where there's talking, actually. It's just very, landscape shots, people reacting, and that is a beautiful thing to see. It's very quiet, and I like that because we get a lot of loud films. I like one that's just quiet and soft and doesn't have to explode in your face. It's just like, hey, creepy lamb baby, parenting it, weird uncle want to kill it. Maybe there's twisted magic here. What that dog doing? And that's about the entirety of Lamb, which is completely okay. That's all it needs to be. That's all it needs to be. So Lamb, I am going to give a 6 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.